The primaries are done and the brawl for City Hall is in full effect. The top of the ticket candidates waited little time before getting their campaigns in full swing. Joining us this morning is political commentator for the New York Daily News and host of the morning show on WWRL, Errol Louis. Great to see you. Thank you so much. We want to talk about the primaries and all of that, but first we have to get to this big news today. The White House may be telling the governor, David Paterson, to withdraw from the 2010 election.
Yes, the news broke today, but it's been brewing for months now that the White House has been unhappy with David Paterson, that they've wanted him to step aside because from the White House's point of view, the loss of New York State's governor's position to the Republicans would be a major blow, coming possibly after losing the governorship, possibly in New Jersey right here, as well as in Virginia. They don't want the Republicans to get ahead of steam. They don't want them to build up a lot of momentum going into the midterm elections or the 2012 elections. So they've had their eye on this race. They also think that a couple of upstate seats could be lost to the Republicans as well. So it starts to take on national dimensions, and they've said that the poll numbers, the statements out of Governor Paterson's office, that the political problems that he's had are not to their liking, and they would prefer that he step aside.
And he had an interview with you as well, talking about racism possibly having an effect on him.
Yes, apparently that was the last straw in the interview with me, where he said that he thought racial bias was behind some of his political opposition and brought the president into it and saying that he might be another target of such bias. And the White House said, look, we don't want any part of this. We don't want, look, the bottom line is that he's on a national stage, the governor is. We think of him as a local guy who's trying to balance a budget. He's a national player, and another national player has said, you got to step aside.
If he's out of the race, we've, of course, heard Andrew Cuomo is in the race. Who else might you think?
Well, on the Democratic side, I think there's Cuomo and nobody else. I mean, there are very few people who come anywhere near Andrew Cuomo when it comes to popularity. Yeah, that's right. And how many statewide figures are there? In fact, that's part of the whole crisis. You got Chuck Schumer, who was elected, and you got Andrew Cuomo, who was elected. Everybody else was appointed for one reason or another. So you've got some strong players in the form of Andrew Cuomo and Chuck Schumer, and then the rest of the ticket has really got to get supported, and that lies behind the White House's disenchantment with David Paterson.
Let's get to the races in New York City. It was surprising to see the city council in regard to the primaries.
Oh, yes, yes. The last time more than 3 city council members lost all at once, were turned out, incumbents, was in 1982. So 27 years later, at least 4, likely 5, and maybe even 6 members have been voted out of office in a primary, which is almost unheard of.
We're just looking at Bill Thompson and Mayor Bloomberg. That is the race.
Oh, yes.
Will it be a tough one?
Well, it's always going to be. It's always been an uphill battle for whoever's going to run against this billionaire mayor. Bill Thompson, though, really came out on fire that night and made clear that he's going to fight, that he's going to be a fiery candidate, that he's going to draw contrasts with Mayor Bloomberg, and we'll see where it goes.
And some fierce runoff elections as well.
Yes, for controller and for public advocate. That's a week from Tuesday. So on the 29th of this month, they're going to ask Democrats to go back to the polls all over again. It'll be an even lower turnout than the record low turnout we saw last week.
Errol, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to see you.
The Daily News has a special section on its website called Brawl for the Hall.
Yes.
Yeah, CBS 2 is your election headquarters. Stay with us for runoff results as well as general election results in November. For more information, you can head over to our website, WCBSTV.com. Cindy. All right.